The massive ship moved slowly through the dark space. Admiral Park Dewan stood at the window of his bridge, watching the stars pass by. His heart was beating fast. After 200 years of trying, humanity had finally built a ship that could travel faster than light. And now they were about to meet aliens for the first time. "Admiral, we are arriving at the coordinates," said Lieutenant Shin Yuna from her station. Dewan nodded. He was 62 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent his whole life dreaming of this moment. First contact with alien life. The beginning of a new chapter for Earth. The ship came out of faster-than-light travel. Everyone on the bridge stopped breathing. In front of them was the biggest space station anyone had ever seen. It was the size of a small moon. Thousands of ships flew around it, ships of every shape and color. Some looked like insects. Some looked like floating crystals. Some had no shape at all. "My God," whispered Dr. Yoon Murray, the ship's language expert. She was 45, with kind eyes and quick hands that were already recording everything. There must be hundreds of different species here. Dewan straightened his uniform. "Open a channel. Let them know we come in peace." They waited. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Finally a message came back. It was not a welcome message. "Human vessel. You will follow the escort ships to the council chamber. You will not speak unless spoken to. You will not resist." Before Dewan could respond, 12 alien warships appeared around them. Their weapons were powered and ready. "Admiral?" Yuna asked, her hand moving toward the defense controls. "No," Dewan said quietly. "We did not come here to fight. We came here to talk." The escort ships led them to a docking bay. Armed aliens in strange armor met them at the door. They took the humans through long hallways until they reached a giant room. The council chamber was enormous. Seats rose up in circles hundreds of levels high. Thousands of aliens sat watching. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some had no bodies at all, just floating lights, and all of them were staring at the small group of humans standing in the center. A tall creature with gray skin and 4 arms stood at the highest platform. Her name was Velcra, the High Arbiter. She had ruled the Galactic Council for 300 years. "The trial will now begin," Velcra announced. Dewan stepped forward. "Trial? What trial? We just arrived. We have not done anything wrong." Velcra looked down at him like he was an insect. "This trial began 50% of your years ago when we first detected your radio signals. We have been watching you ever since. We have seen enough." A giant screen appeared in the air. It showed images of Earth, wars, bombs falling on cities, nuclear explosions, forests burning, oceans filled with poison. "You are a violent species," Velcra said. "You kill each other over skin color, over invisible lines on maps, over ideas in books. You have created weapons that can destroy your entire planet, and you have almost used them many times." The chamber filled with sounds of agreement. Clicking, hissing, humming. Thousands of aliens agreeing that humans were dangerous. Dewan felt anger rising in his chest. "We have also created art, music, medicine. We have fed our hungry and healed our sick." "We have silence," Velcra commanded. "You were not given permission to speak." Dr. Yoon Murray was quietly working on her communication device. She had managed to connect it to the ship's transmitter. Everything that was happening was being sent back to Earth. Velcra continued reading the charges. "Humans are classified as a level 5 threat. Volatile, unpredictable, dangerous to all civilized species." She paused, looking around at the council. "The verdict has been decided. Earth will be quarantined." Cold feelings spread through Dewan's body. Quarantined. What does that mean? A containment field will be placed around your star system. No human ship will be able to leave. No outside ship will enter. No communications will pass through. You will remain isolated until you either destroy yourselves or evolve into something less dangerous. The field will be in place in 90% of your days. The chamber erupted in approval. Aliens cheered. They had made the galaxy safe from the dangerous humans. Dewan looked around at the celebrating aliens. He thought about the billions of people on Earth who had no idea what was happening. Children who would grow up trapped. Scientists who would never explore the stars. Dreamers who would never know what else was out there. "You cannot do this," he said, his voice shaking. "You cannot judge an entire species based on our worst moments. We are more than our mistakes." Velcro looked at him with something like pity. "Every dangerous species says the same thing. The Vorns said it before they burned 3 worlds. The Kellics said it before they ate their neighbors. We have learned human. We have learned to stop threats before they grow." Guards grabbed Dewan and his crew. They were dragged back to their ship. "You have 90 days, Velcro's voice followed them. "Use them wisely. The Council has spoken." On Earth, President Kang Soon-woo sat in the emergency command center under the mountains. Every leader in the world was connected by video. They had all watched the transmission that Dr. Yoon had sent. The room was silent. Outside, the sun was setting. In 90 days, that sun would be surrounded by an alien barrier. Humanity would be trapped like animals in a cage. "What do we do?" asked one of the European leaders. "We cannot fight them. We have only one ship that can travel between stars. They have thousands." President Sun-woo was quiet for a long moment. He was 58 years old. He had been a soldier before he was a politician. He had seen war, and he had seen peace. He knew what both cost. Finally, he stood up. "They made a mistake," he said. "They judged us by our past. They did not think about our future. They did not ask what we might become. They just decided we were dangerous and locked us away." He looked at the faces of every world leader. "They are right about one thing. We are dangerous, but not in the way they think. We are dangerous because we do not give up. We do not accept cages. We do not bow to those who try to control us without even asking our names." He pressed a button, and a countdown appeared on every screen. 90 days. We have 90 days before the cage closes. That is not much time, but it is enough. Enough to show the galaxy that they made the worst mistake in their history. They should have tried to understand us. Instead, they chose to fear us. His voice grew hard as iron. "Let them learn what human fear really means." The containment field arrived exactly on the 90th day. It was invisible to human eyes, but every instrument on Earth could detect it. A wall of energy surrounding the entire solar system. Nothing could get out. Nothing could get in. The galaxy forgot about Earth. For the Council, humanity was just another failed species. Another group of violent creatures locked away for the safety of civilization. In 100 years, they would probably destroy themselves. In 1,000 years, no one would remember they ever existed. But inside the cage, something was happening. 10 years after the field went up, General Baek Jisoo stood in an underground command center on Mars. She was 45 years old now. With short gray hair and eyes that never seemed to rest, she had been a young captain when the banishment happened. Now she commanded every military force humanity had. "Report," she said. Colonel Oh Junho stepped forward. He was thin and quiet, the kind of man you would never notice in a crowd. That was why he was perfect for his job. "Intelligence confirms the Council has reduced monitoring of our system to minimal levels. They check once every 6 months. Last check was 2 months ago." Jisoo nodded. "And the probes?" "All 12,000 are in position throughout Council space. We have mapped their major fleet bases, communication networks, and supply lines. We know more about their military than most Council species do." For 10 years, Junho had been sending out tiny probes, smaller than grains of sand. They slipped through microscopic weaknesses in the containment field and spread across the galaxy like invisible spies. The Council never noticed. In another part of the Mars base, Professor Han Tai-woo was working in his laboratory. He had not slept in 3 days. Empty coffee cups covered every surface. His team of 200 scientists had been studying the containment field since the day it appeared. "Run it again," he said to his assistant. The computer showed a simulation of the field. It was built from technology humanity did not fully understand. But Tai-woo had discovered something important. The field was designed to keep things inside, he explained. It assumes anything trying to escape will push against it from within. It is like a net designed to catch fish swimming in one direction. His assistant, a young woman named Seo Yoonji, looked at the data. So if we attack it differently? Not attack, dissolve. Taiwu pointed at a frequency on the screen. This harmonic frequency does not exist in Council science. They never discovered it because their physics took a different path than ours. If we broadcast this frequency at enough power, the field will simply fall apart. Yoonji stared at him. Are you sure? Taiwu smiled for the first time in months. I have been sure for 3 years. We have been building the transmitters ever since. Deep beneath the Martian surface, Lieutenant Commander Shin Yune walked through the largest shipyard humanity had ever built. It stretched for 50 kilometers in every direction, and it was full of warships, 3,000 of them. Yuna had been on Admiral Dewan's ship during the banishment. She had watched the Council judge her species without listening to a single word. That memory had burned in her heart for 10 years. Now she was in charge of building humanity's answer. The last ship will be ready in 6 months, her chief engineer reported. All weapon systems are based on Council technology we captured during the first contact. But we have improved them. Improved how? The engineer smiled. Council ships are built for honorable combat. Formal battles between formal enemies. Our ships are built for war, real war. The kind where you do whatever it takes to win. On Earth, President Kong Sunwoo was older now. His hair was white, and his body was tired, but his mind was still sharp. Every week, he received reports from the Mars Command Center. Every week, humanity grew stronger. The world had changed completely in 10 years. There were no more separate nations competing with each other. No more wars over resources or territory. Every factory, every laboratory, every school was focused on one goal. Freedom children grew up knowing they were prisoners. They studied alien languages and alien technology. They trained to be soldiers, engineers, pilots. They knew that someday they would fight. Ambassador Kwan Harry had spent the decades studying Council politics. She had read every piece of information the spy probes sent back. She knew which species hated the Council. She knew which ones might become allies. Veloxy had been denied membership for 8,000 years, she told the War Council. The Fenari are taxed so heavily they can barely survive. The Drath had their homeworld mined until it was almost dead. There were over 1,000 species who would celebrate if the Council fell. General Jisoo looked at the list. Can we trust them? We do not need to trust them. We just need them to stay out of our way. Or better, cause problems while we strike. Admiral Park Dewan was 72 now. His body was failing, but he refused to die before seeing Earth free. He attended every War Council meeting, offering advice from his chair. Remember he told the young officers? The Council thinks we are animals. Stupid, violent animals trapped in a cage. They have not checked on us seriously in years. They believe they have already won. He leaned forward, his old eyes still burning with fire. That is our greatest weapon. They do not know we are coming. They do not know what we have built. They do not know that we have spent every single day of these 10 years preparing for this moment. The night before the breakout, General Jisoo addressed the entire fleet through a video message. 3,000 ships, 500,000 soldiers. The largest military force in human history? Tomorrow, we leave this cage, she said. Tomorrow, we remind the galaxy that humanity exists. Some of you will not come back. I will not lie about that. War is death. War is pain. War is everything we hoped we had left behind. She paused, looking at the camera like she could see every single person watching. But this war is different. This war is about showing the universe who we are. Not the monsters they think we are. Not the violent animals they locked away. We are survivors. We are builders. We are explorers. We are dreamers. Her voice grew harder. And we do not forgive those who try to cage our dreams. Across the fleet, soldiers checked their weapons. Engineers ran final tests on engines. Pilots climbed into their fighters. Everyone knew what was coming. Everyone was ready in his laboratory. Professor Taiwu watched the clock count down. At exactly midnight, his transmitters would activate. the containment field would dissolve, and humanity would pour into the galaxy like a flood. The galaxy had forgotten about Earth. They were about to remember. The containment field did not break. It did not explode. It simply stopped existing. One moment, the barrier that had held humanity prisoner for 10 years was there. The next moment, it was gone, like a soap bubble touched by a finger, like it had never been real at all. On the Council monitoring station closest to Earth, a young alien technician stared at his screens. His name was unpronounceable in human languages. He had been assigned to watch the human quarantine zone because it was considered the most boring job in the fleet. Nothing ever happened there. "Tss," he called to his supervisor, his voice shaking. "The field is gone. That is impossible. Check your equipment." "Oh, I've checked it 5 times. The field is gone." "And sir, there are ships coming out. Many ships." The supervisor rushed to the screen. What he saw made his blood turn cold. 3,000 warships, moving in perfect formation, heading straight toward Council space. He barely had time to send a warning before the first missiles hit his station. Admiral No Hein-Woo commanded the main attack fleet from his flagship, the Defiance. He was 50 years old, a career military officer who had been training for this moment for a decade. His face showed no emotion as he watched the monitoring station explode. "All ships begin Phase 1, he ordered. 12 targets. No survivors. No warnings. No mercy." Across 100 light years, human fleets appeared at 12 different Council frontier systems simultaneously. The attacks were perfectly coordinated. Striking at exactly the same moment, the Council border fleets never had a chance. On the planet Varix, Commander Im Soo-jin led a squadron of stealth ships. Her mission was different from the main fleet. She was not here to destroy enemy ships. She was here to break the enemy's ability to communicate. "Target the communication relay," she ordered. Fire. The relay station, which connected this sector to the rest of Council space, vanished in a ball of fire. Similar stations were being destroyed across the frontier. Within hours, the Council's outer territories were blind and deaf. Soo-jin was 34 years old. She had been a junior officer during the banishment, barely old enough to understand what was happening. But she remembered the look on Admiral Dewan's face when they dragged him back to the ship. The humiliation, the helplessness. She never forgot. She never forgave. "Move to the next target," she said. "We have 17 more relays to destroy before morning."
On the Council
Capital Station, High Arbiter Velcro received the news in the middle of a ceremony. A young aide rushed in and whispered in her ear. Her face went pale. "That is impossible," she said. "The containment field cannot be broken." "It was not broken," the aide replied. "It was dissolved. We do not understand how." Velcro stood up, interrupting the ceremony. Every alien in the room stared at her. "The humans have escaped their quarantine," she announced. "They are attacking our frontier systems." The room exploded into chaos. Shouts in dozens of languages filled the air. Some aliens screamed for immediate war. Others demanded to know how this had happened. A few simply fled. Velcro raised her hand for silence. "We have 50,000 warships. They have only 3,000. We will crush them in weeks." She believed her own words. After all, the Council had ruled the galaxy for 60,000 years. They had defeated hundreds of aggressive species. What could one small planet do against that? She would soon learn. The first major battle happened at the Corvon system, a major Council military base. Admiral Hun-woo brought 500 human ships against 2,000 Council defenders. By all logic, the humans should have been destroyed. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Council had lost 1,500 ships. The humans had lost 83. The Council commanders could not understand what had happened. They had followed all the proper tactics. They had maintained proper formations. They had engaged according to the ancient rules of civilized warfare. The humans had done none of these things. Human ships appeared from impossible angles. They used asteroids as shields. They pretended to surrender, then attacked when enemy ships lowered their defenses. They rammed damaged ships into enemy formations. They did things that no civilized species would ever consider. Commodore Chaminho became a legend in that battle. His cruiser was badly damaged, engines failing, weapons destroyed. Any council commander would have surrendered. Minho aimed his dying ship at the enemy flagship and pushed his engines to maximum. The explosion destroyed the enemy command structure completely. Minho died a hero. His name would be remembered for centuries. As news of the defeat spread, panic began to grow in council space. How could primitives from a quarantined world defeat their advanced fleets? It made no sense, but Admiral Hunwo understood perfectly. They have never fought a real war, he explained to his officers. For 60,000 years, they have only fought other council species. Species who follow the same rules. Species who think the same way. They have forgotten what war really is. He looked at the star map, at the next targets. We are going to remind them. Over the next 6 months, human fleets pushed deeper into council space. They did not try to hold territory. They did not build bases or establish supply lines. They struck, destroyed, and moved on. Council commanders tried to trap them. They tried to predict their movements. They tried to use their superior numbers to surround human forces. Nothing worked. Captain Im Soo-jin became known as the Ghost. Her stealth squadron appeared without warning, destroyed critical targets, and vanished before anyone could respond. She destroyed 47 communication stations, 23 supply depots, and 11 military headquarters. How does she know where we are weak? Council admirals demanded. How does she always find our blind spots? They did not know about the spy probes. They did not know that Colonel Oh Junho had spent 10 years mapping every secret in council space. They did not know that humanity had been watching them, studying them, learning them. On Earth, the population watched the war through reports from the front. Every victory was celebrated. Every fallen soldier was mourned. The whole planet was united in a way it had never been before. Dr. Yoon Murray, now 60 years old, worked as a translator for captured alien prisoners. She treated them kindly, talking to them, learning their stories. Many of them had never met a human before. They had been told humans were monsters. "You're not what we expected," one prisoner told her. Murray smiled sadly. "No one ever is." In the council chamber, Velcro watched her empire begin to crumble. 15,000 ships lost in 6 months. Entire sectors in chaos. Species that had been loyal for millennia were now asking questions. How did we fail so badly? She asked her advisors. How did we not see this coming? No one had an answer. The truth was simple, but terrible. The council had been so confident in their power that they had stopped being careful. They had locked humanity away and forgotten about them. They had assumed the cage would hold. Forever, they had never imagined that the animals in the cage were building an army now. The galaxy was learning a lesson it would never forget. Never underestimate. Humanity. The war entered its 2nd year, and something strange began to happen. The galaxy started to change its mind about humanity. It started with the prisoners. Council species expected humans to torture their captives. Every report about humanity described them as violent savages. Surely they would treat prisoners like animals. But they did not. Medical officer. Suonji ran the largest prisoner facility on Mars. She had over 10,000 alien prisoners under her care. Every single one received food, medicine, and shelter. Their religious practices were respected. Their families were notified through neutral channels. "Why do you treat us this way?" asked a wounded council soldier named Tevris. He had 4 arms and green scales. He had been taught that humans would eat him if captured. Youngji cleaned his wounds carefully. "Because you are a person. You followed orders. You fought for your home. That does not make you evil. That makes you a soldier, like our soldiers." Tavris stared at her. "The council told us humans have no honor." "The council never asked us what we have," Youngji replied. "They just decided they already knew." When Tavris was healthy, he was exchanged for human prisoners in council hands. He returned home and told everyone what he had experienced. Other freed prisoners told similar stories. Word spread across the galaxy. The humans were not monsters. The humans were not savages. The council had lied. Ambassador Quan Harry saw an opportunity. She traveled in secret to a hidden location in neutral space. 200 representatives from different species were waiting for her. None of them were council members. All of them had suffered under council rule. The Veluxi were small creatures with soft fur and large eyes. They had applied for council membership 400 times over 8,000 years. Every time they were rejected for being too emotional, too weak, too primitive. The Fenari had beautiful wings and musical voices. They had been council members once, but trade taxes had destroyed their economy. Now they were little more than servants. The Drath were made of living crystal. Their homeworld had been mined by council corporations until it was nearly dead. Their population had fallen by 90%. Harry stood before them all. "The council called us dangerous," she said. "They were right. We are dangerous, but not to you. We are dangerous to those who abuse their power, to those who crush the weak because they can, to those who build cages for anyone who is different." A Veluxi representative stepped forward. Her name was soft, like wind through leaves. "Why should we trust you? You could be worse than the council." "I cannot promise you anything," Harry admitted. "I can only show you what we do. Watch how we treat our prisoners. Watch how we fight. Watch what we do when we win. Then decide." The meeting ended without any agreements. But seeds had been planted. Meanwhile, High Arbiter Velcro was having her own realization. She had ordered a complete study of human history. Not just the wars and weapons, but everything. The art, the music, the philosophy, the science, the stories. What she found shocked her. Yes, humans had fought terrible wars. They had killed millions of their own kind. They had built weapons that could destroy their planet, but they had also done something no other species in council history had ever done. They had rebuilt their enemies. Velcro studied the history of Earth's greatest conflicts. After their deadliest war, humans had helped rebuild the nations that tried to destroy them. Former enemies became close allies. Countries that had burned each other's cities were now partners. "This makes no sense," she told her advisors. "They defeat an enemy and then help them grow strong again? Why would any species do this?" No one could answer her. She studied further. She learned about human art that spoke of love and hope even in the darkest times. She learned about scientists who shared discoveries with the whole world, even enemies. She learned about ordinary humans who risked their lives to save strangers they had never met. "We made a mistake," she finally said. The words tasted bitter. "We judged them by their worst moments. We never looked at their best." Her senior advisor was confused. "Even if that is true, they are attacking us now. They are destroying our fleets, because we attacked them first," Velcro replied. "We locked them in a cage without ever speaking to them. We treated them like animals. What did we expect them to do?" The advisor had no answer. On the battlefield, the war continued. But something was changing. When human forces captured a planet, they did not destroy it. They did not enslave the population. They secured military targets and left civilians alone. They even provided medical aid to wounded aliens. Captain Im Soo-jin landed on a council world that had been bombed by accident. Human missiles had hit a civilian hospital, killing hundreds. It was a mistake, a targeting error. But the result was the same. Soo-jin found the survivors and personally helped with rescue efforts. She worked for 3 days without sleep, pulling alien children from rubble, carrying wounded to safety. "Why are you doing this?" a local alien asked her. "You are our enemy." Soo-jin looked at the destroyed hospital. "I became a soldier to protect people, not to kill children. This was our mistake. We will not pretend it did not happen." When she left, she promised that human forces would help rebuild the hospital. The promise was kept. Stories like this spread across the galaxy. Slowly, the image of humans began to change. They were still feared. They were still respected. But they were no longer seen as monsters. President Kong Sunhua received a secret message from Velcro. She requested a ceasefire. She wanted to talk. Sun Wu considered the offer. His advisors were divided. Some wanted to continue fighting until the council collapsed completely. Others said too many lives had been lost already. In the end, Sun Wu made his decision. He broadcast his response across every frequency in the galaxy. Every species heard his words. "You locked us in a cage," he said. "You judged us without knowing us. You called us animals and threw away the key. Now you want peace because you are losing." His voice grew cold. Peace is not something you ask for when you are afraid. Peace is something you build with trust. You never trusted us. You never even tried. He paused, letting his words sink in. If you want peace, dissolve the council. Let every species choose their own path. Stop deciding who is dangerous and who is safe. Stop building cages for those you do not understand. Across the galaxy, oppressed species heard his words and felt hope for the first time in thousands of years. Maybe the council could fall. Maybe things could change. Velcro listened to the message in silence. She had ruled the galaxy for 300 years. She had always believed the council was protecting civilization from chaos. Now, she was not sure anymore. Maybe the real chaos was pretending you had the right to judge others. Maybe the real danger was believing you were always correct. For the first time in her long life, she wondered if humanity was right. The war lasted for years. In the end, humanity won without destroying the council. The council destroyed itself. It started slowly. Small species began refusing to send ships to fight humans. Then larger species demanded investigations into how the quarantine decision was made. Then the questions became louder. Why had humanity been judged without a trial? Who gave the council the right to cage an entire species? How many other mistakes had been made in 60,000 years? Within 3 years, over 1,200 species had withdrawn from the council. The Vaulat openly allied with humanity. The Fenari declared independence. The Drath demanded payment for centuries of exploitation. The council tried to hold together. They sent fleets to force rebellious seas back into line. But their forces were spread too thin. They were fighting humans on one side and their own members on the other. On the 4th anniversary of the war, the council's military command collapsed. Half their admirals surrendered. The other half fled to the outer regions of the galaxy. Velcro was removed from power by her own people. She did not fight it. Part of her was relieved. She requested a private meeting with Admiral Park Do-won. He was 82 years old now, barely able to walk. But he agreed to meet her on a neutral station. Far from any conflict, they sat across from each other in a small room. Two enemies who had shaped the fate of the galaxy. "I have a question," Velcro said. "I have been thinking about it for years." Do-won nodded slowly. His old eyes were still sharp.
"Oh."
"You could have destroyed us," Velcro continued. "After everything we did to your species, you could have burned our worlds, enslaved our people, made us pay for every day of those 10 years in the cage. Why did you not?" Do-won was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was tired but certain. "Because we have been you." Velcro did not understand. "What do you mean?" "Humanity has done terrible things," Do-won explained. "We have judged others by their worst moments. We have built cages for those we feared. We have conquered and enslaved and destroyed. We know exactly what you are, because we have been exactly where you are." He leaned forward slightly, and we learned painfully and slowly over thousands of years that it never works. You cannot make the galaxy safe by crushing what you do not understand. You cannot create peace by controlling everyone who is different. The only way forward is to offer your hand, even to those who hurt you. Velcro stared at him. In 60,000 years of council history, no defeated enemy had ever shown such mercy. It made no sense to her. "How do you trust anyone?" she asked. "How do you know they will not hurt you again?" Do-won smiled sadly. "You do not know. That is what trust means. You take the risk. You accept that you might be wrong. And you try anyway, because the alternative is living in fear forever." The Treaty of Seoul was signed on the steps of the old council capital. It was the largest gathering in galactic history. Thousands of species came to witness the moment everything changed. The quarantine doctrine was abolished. No species would ever be caged again. The council was restructured into a voluntary federation where every member had equal voice, no matter how small or weak. Humanity took no territory. They demanded no payment. They asked for only one thing: recognition. The right to be seen as equal members of the galactic community. Dr. Yoon Murray, called Ambassador Yoon, gave the keynote speech to the new Galactic Assembly. She was 70 years old, with white hair and the same kind eyes she had always had. 60,000 years ago, she began, your ancestors looked at the stars and wondered if they were alone. They discovered they were not. They found each other and built something wonderful. And then they made a mistake. They thought the story was finished. They thought they knew everything important about the universe. She paused, looking out at the thousands of different species gathered before her. The story is never finished. There are always new voices waiting to be heard, new ideas waiting to be discovered, new friends waiting to be made. Her voice grew stronger. We are one of those new voices. Not better than you, not worse, just different. And we have learned through more pain than we can describe that difference is not a threat. Difference is a gift. Every time you meet someone who sees the world differently, you have a chance to grow, to learn, to become more than you were. She smiled, and for a moment she looked like the young linguist who had first dreamed of speaking to the stars. Today we do not celebrate victory. We celebrate a new beginning. The galaxy is not ruled by one group anymore. It belongs to all of us, every species, every world, every dream. Across the galaxy, beings of every shape and size watched her words. Many of them had never questioned the old ways. They had accepted council rule as natural, as inevitable. Now they saw another possibility. If humanity could rise from nothing and change everything, what might they accomplish? In the crowd, General Baek Jisoo stood next to Colonel Oh Junho. They had fought side by side for years. They had lost friends. They had almost died more times than they could count. Was it worth it? Junho asked quietly. Jisoo thought about the question for a long time. She thought about the soldiers who never came home, the families that were destroyed, the years of fear and anger and pain. Ask me in 100 years, she finally said. If the peace holds, yes. If we build something good, yes. If we become what we always hoped we could be, then yes. It was worth everything. What? 20 years later, a young woman named Kong Jiwoo stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel New Dawn. She was the granddaughter of President Sunwoo, who had died peacefully 10 years after the war ended. Around her stood crew members from 17 different species. Humans and Veloxi and Fenari and Drath and a dozen others, all working together, all dreaming together. They were about to do something no one had ever done. They were leaving the Milky Way entirely. Their destination was the Andromeda Galaxy, 2 million light-years away. It would take decades to arrive. Most of the crew would live their entire lives on the ship, but they would carry a message from every species in the Milky Way, written together over years of discussion and debate. Jiwoo looked at the words one more time before they launched. We are coming. Not to conquer, not to judge, not to cage or control. We are coming to say hello. We are coming to learn your stories and share our own. We are coming because the universe is vast and beautiful and strange, and no one should explore it alone. We were once afraid of each other. We hurt each other. We almost destroyed each other, but we learned. We chose to reach out instead of push away. Now we offer our hand to you. Take it. Join us. Let us discover what we can become together. Jiwoo gave the order. The New Dawn jumped to faster than light speed. The stars stretched into lines of light. Behind them, the Milky Way grew smaller and smaller. Ahead of them, the unknown waited, and humanity, along with all their friends, went forward to meet it together. The age of fear was over. The age of wonder had begun.